Hello, this is Torai. This time, I will introduce the strongest character ever among the playable characters in the King of Fighters. When 95 was released, this guy's name wasn't Kyo, but was called Gyo in Korea. With his good looks and overwhelming performance, he became a national character, following Ryu from Street Fighter II. As you all know, in 95 you could also select the boss character Rugal, but Kyo's performance was far superior to the boss Rugal. You might just think it's good because he has infinite combos, but let's take a closer look in more detail. At that time, this guy's name wasn't Kyowa, he was called Kyo in Korea. He was called that handsome. Because of his good looks and overwhelming performance, the first move I'll introduce is Gyoho's signature anti-air move, Baekshik Gwishin Taewugi. It's an excellent anti-air move with full body invincibility starting from the 8th frame of activation. So, with this move, there's almost no anti-air situation you can't handle. Even when the graphics of both characters clearly overlap, it doesn't get hit and the move still comes out. Even a cross-up, which is a big deal in 2D fighting games, can be stopped with just this move. You don't have to use a complicated command or reverse the input, you can just use the regular command as it is. Of course, if it's hard to use the anti-air ghost throw, you can just press standing heavy punch to use the uppercut. With the insane uppercut performance, at the very least, you can get a draw in certain matchups. And if your meter is full, it's also good to use a super move when it's hard to defend against the opponent's attack. I'm not exactly sure about the conditions myself, but sometimes you can deal big damage with a guard cancel Ghost Ride. Guard cancel technique, you can lose that much health in a single hit. It's perfect for anti-air and the damage is great, so there's no reason not to use it. Next is 180 Dark Vest. Following 94, it was a groundbreaking move where a projectile spreads along the ground. Usually, when it's hard to confirm a hit, it's used to finish a combo, and there's a good reason for that. Because the recovery frame is only 1 frame, it means you can use it safely in combos. You can check the jump timing, which is almost the same right after the recovery. And even with the very simple basic combo of Narak, Strong Punch, and Chasing Darkness, you can stun your opponent. If the opponent gets hit, you can safely escape during the stun, which is an insanely strong feature. You all know that if you get stunned in front of 95 Cure, you're basically as good as dead, right? Next is the 70-50 move, which contributed the most to making Cure's abilities demonic. It's a terrifying skill that forcibly launches the opponent into the air. If you use it with a weak attack, you can't follow up with additional hits. But if you use it with a strong attack, you can land extra hits, and that's the key point. And another crazy thing is that this move can actually be connected from a crouching light kick. But connecting from a crouching light kick only works when you use the move with a weak attack. It connects. In 95, with a bug technique, you can make a weak move have strong properties and a strong move have weak properties. The way to use this is to input the command and then press light kick, or input the command and then press heavy kick. By starting with a weak move, you can get the heavy kick property and also gain an extra hit. If you get hit by this move in the corner, you can pretty much consider the game over. However, the movement distance is too short to use Kyo's 700 million infinite combo with just this technique. Let's see how many hits we can land in a regular field, not in the corner. Nine times is the limit, but there's another technique that can overcome this. As soon as you use the 7th Hoge as a setup, input a strong punch, then input the 7th Hoge strong. Unlike the second time earlier, I was able to do it 4 times. Next is Kyo's stylish move, the Axe Kick. If you use the light version, only the first hit comes out, but if you use the heavy version, all 3 hits are performed. Usually you can see the heavy axe kick being used mainly as a combo finisher after the number 7 tiger kick. However, just like the number 7 tiger kick technique I mentioned earlier, you can also use a similar bug with the axe kick. If you input the light axe kick command and then the heavy axe kick command, it will activate as the light version but perform all 3 hits. However, even though it performs 2 attack motions in total, you can only cancel out of one of the 2 attacks. So this is a technique that lets you land only the first or the last hit. Next, what you're seeing is inputting strong Nongcha followed by double Nongcha. This is a technique where you stop at the second hit and come down without hitting the final third hit. Do you know why I use Nongcha here instead of giving the ball to the number 7 line, which is the best scoring route on the table? That's because by using this technique, you can pull off a one-shot combo without having to use the tricky number 7 line in the corner. Now, I'll show you that combo. You can finish it off like this by landing a strong punch at the end. Then, for comparison, I'll try using the strong Nongcha without using any bugs. When you don't use the bug, you can see that a little bit of health remains like this. This time, the skill is Gyumwol Yang. It's a dash type skill for Pyo, and you can adjust the distance with the light kick and heavy kick. As you can see now, the rushing speed is quite fast, so it's pretty useful for closing the distance. However, you can also use this skill to create situations that shake up your opponent's guard. You don't need any difficult commands, and you can overlap it as much as you want with opponents who are knocked down, hit, or in a stunned state. I'll show you once again how to shake up your opponent's guard by overlapping. Through Spo's movements, you can shake up the opponent's guard with a grapple as they get up. Gyumwol Yang's technique doesn't end here. Tidai Ori is currently performing a low guard. But if you use close range Gyumwol Yang, the side guard gets triggered and you get hit. If you use the weak version, you can counterattack and land both hits, but if you use the strong version, it often just passes by or only the first hit connects. To use it, when you press the kick during the Gyumwol Yang command, you need to hold the direction key upwards. Let's watch the weak Gyumwol Yang and strong Gyumwol Yang in slow motion. What you're watching right now is the weak Gyumwol Yang. This is the strong Gyumwol Yang that just passes by, and next is the strong Gyumwol Yang that only hits on top. Next is Hayo's signature special move, Daisachi. This is a technique that was often called Yaya Bear, and its performance is incredible. It comes out in 32 frames, and it's invincible from the start of the move up to frame 27. But Kyoho isn't someone who would be satisfied with just this. As you saw with Gyumwon Ryang's reverse counter, Daisachi can also hit in reverse the same way. If you press punch and jump at the same time during the Daisachi command, you'll get a reverse counter at close range. Next is the evasion attack. First of all, its basic specs boast the best performance among all characters. If you use this evasion attack while in close range, you can create a counter hit. However, there's a reason why this technique is a bit difficult to use in the field rather than in the corner. If you use a move after an evasion attack like this, there's a bug where all the moves come out in the opposite direction. No matter what move you use, you can see that they all come out reversed. However, if you use it in the corner, it doesn't even come out to the side and just comes out as a normal move. Here, if Kyowu tries an evasion attack after a grab, the outcome will depend on the timing. You can see that Mr. A isn't being knocked down normally, but is lying upside down, right? Let's take a look in slow motion to see how the stamina changes. First, this is the timing shown here. Next, this is the timing when the stamina comes out. If you use it a little slower than the station, the stamina pattern will appear. Next is the CD attack. Normally, it's a special move that's a bit difficult to just use and land a hit. It takes too long to activate, and the motion is so big that anyone can guard against it. However, if you use it after a grab in the corner, you can also use this as a pressure tool. If you set up a CD in advance before the opponent gets up, the characters will overlap like this. You can use this to apply pressure. Let's slow it down and watch the timing of when to go in the opposite direction. Now let's continue and see how to go in directly. If I were the opponent, this would really give me a headache. That's all I have prepared. As I mentioned earlier, 95 Kyo definitely seems to be the strongest character in the history of King of Fighters. I was able to see the power of his patterns that shake up the match all by himself and his crazy combos. For your reference, there's also a video compiling the bugs in King of Fighters 95, so please click the card at the top. That's all. This has been Doll. If you enjoyed the video, please like, subscribe, and leave a comment. Thank you.